Today on Top Shelf Sports, NIU basketball is right around the corner. We'll fill you in on what the teams are doing to prepare for their seasons.
The football team is heading to Utah to take on BYU in their last non-conference matchup.
And reigning MAC Defensive Player of the Year Sutton Smith joins us on set. Top Shelf Sports starts now.
Welcome to the newest edition of Top Shelf Sports. I'm Emily Becerra.
And I'm Brandon Giese. It was a busy week in the world of NIU athletics.
Yes, it was, Brandon, and actually a lot of our teams are making a push toward the playoffs.
You know, and some of those teams are actually just getting started. So, NIU athletics, they held their annual basketball media day yesterday. Emily, there was a slight twist on that, actually. For the first time, all winter sports were included.
That's right, Brandon. Head coach Sam Moriali represented the gymnastics team, and Coach Ludwig had the opportunity talk about his wrestling squad.
You know, and we got exclusive coverage throughout, and Emily, we heard from all of the coaches, and we got a pretty nice sneak peek at that new scoreboard. Speaking of that scoreboard, the men's basketball team will be utilizing that, and they have some renewed hopes for their upcoming season. With senior forward Jalen Key returning from injury and freshman guard Trenton Hankerson, the Huskies are looking to come together and build off of their 13-19 record. Keep an eye on returning MAC leading scorer Eugene German, as he will look to make his mark in his junior season. Coach Mark Montgomery is confident, but still has some concerns for his team.
I think this team is still searching for its identity. It's one of those things that, as part of the process, over time, we're definitely going to find it.
The women's basketball team looks ahead to the upcoming 2018-2019 season after finishing with a 15-15 record a year ago. The Huskies returned 10 letter winners from last year's campaign and have some key players returning from injury. Junior guards Janae Poisson and Maya Starks make their highly anticipated return after suffering season-ending ACL injuries. Head coach Lisa Carlson says injuries played a huge role last season and the team is ready for a fresh start.
And unfortunately, we're hit with some fairly devastating injuries that caused us to have to take a step back a little bit and reevaluate how we were going to continue on last season.
The NIU wrestling team kicked off their season with the annual red and black scrimmage last night. Redshirt freshman Mason Kaufman and redshirt senior Zach Velasquez fought each other tooth and nail before Kaufman finally took control in the third overtime. Redshirt junior McCoy Kent was a big contributor as well, putting 14 points on the board against freshman Anthony Gibson. The red team took home the victory 22-10. Coach Ryan Ludwig was impressed with his team's effort during the scrimmage.
I really enjoy watching these guys compete. Now, while it's against each other, what we're looking for is still that competitive fire, that drive. We saw a lot of that tonight. I think we were able to surprise each other in some regards, and what I expected was a lot of tightly contested bouts, and that's what we saw tonight.
The men's soccer team looks to rebound from a Tuesday loss with a win this weekend against Western Michigan. The Huskies lost their road matchup against Loyola Chicago 1-0 on Tuesday, unable to score on the Ramblers despite outshooting them 15-5. The loss put the team at an 8-6-1 with two games remaining on the schedule as they make a late season push heading into the MAC tournament. Kickoff for their match against the Western Michigan Broncos is Saturday at noon.
Husky women's soccer fell to the Western Michigan Broncos last night in their final game of the season. Although scoreless at halftime, the Broncos picked it up in the second half to claim the victory 4-0. After a very tough and long season, the Huskies did not qualify for the MAC tournament, and their season is over. If you want to keep updated with all things soccer, the women's quarterfinals will begin Sunday when Bowling Green and Eastern Michigan kick off the MAC tournament at 12.
The volleyball team will begin a 5-game road stretch tonight as they get set to take on the Ball State Cardinals. NIU won the last matchup 3-1. The Huskies are currently the 5 seed in the MAC with Ball State as the 2nd seed overall. With only 6 MAC matchups remaining, the Huskies are gearing up for a late playoff push. Tip-off is set for a 6 p.m. start.
The NIU football team is back in action this weekend after a bye week and looking to pick up their first non-conference win of the season. The Huskies are headed to Provo, Utah to play the BYU Cougars for the first time in school history. With losses to Iowa, Utah, and Florida State, this game is the final chance the Huskies have to pick up a signature non-conference win. The team is riding a 3-game win streak and are undefeated against MAC opponents. Kickoff is at 2:30 p.m. from Lavelle Edwards Stadium and can be seen live on ESPNU. I had the opportunity to sit down with reigning MAC Defensive Player of the Year, Sutton Smith, during their bye week. 4-0 in the MAC, 0-3 against those Power 5 matchups. What did you and the team learn from those early Power 5 teams?
You know, that we have a lot of work to do, but then again, honestly, we did really well against them. You know, if you're looking back at it, they're all 4-quarter games, and you know, it was really awesome that we got to see everybody do what we thought they could do. You know, in a lot of positions that weren't filled really, and they stepped up in a lot of ways. And you know, we had some injuries along the way, so it was really good to see some guys step up. And you know, it only makes our team stronger coming forth with MAC play. So
keeping that 4-0 MAC record in mind, what's your expectation for the team for the rest of the season, and then also, just like you said, with that MAC play?
Well, right now we're on a bye week, so we're really trying to heal right now. So that's the biggest thing, because we had a really tough non-conference schedule, as everyone can probably see that. And you know, so right now we're just focusing on getting, you know, healed up and doing a lot of treatment. And then honestly, whenever we start practice up again, we're going to try to focus on the little details more so, because you know, that's what wins and loses football games, you know what I mean? So we're going to just try to focus on those things.
So you're one of the best pass rushers in the country. Mm-hmm. How does that feel?
I'm an okay pass rusher. I really have a lot to learn, and I'm very raw still. But you know, it's awesome to have that label as well, because you know, I've worked so hard to get where I'm at, and you know, the countless hours of film watching and exercise and workouts and stuff like that. And you know, it's awesome to see that my work's paying off.
So we may be looking a little bit too far in advance, but do you have any plans for after the season ends?
Go home for Christmas? No, I'm assuming that's an NFL question, correct? You know, if the opportunity presents itself, you know, we'll see what happens. But right now, I'm just focused on the next game, which is BYU, and that's what we got to do. But we'll see what happens.
All right, thank you so much for joining me here today, Sutton. It was a pleasure.
After the break, see how one NIU coach takes his love for coaching beyond his individual sport.
And the new LED scoreboard was unveiled in the Convocation Center. We'll tell you how athletes and fans are reacting. We'll be right back.
You made this vacation happen, cleverly merging promotions,
double points with every purchase,
and cross-referencing travel sites. Aloha! If you can ace your vacation, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
The women's golf team is in Santa Ana, California to finish their fall season. The Huskies have had an up and down season so far, featuring a first place finish as well as a second to last place finish. The event will tee off Monday morning at 8 a.m.
The cross-country team is headed to Toledo, Ohio this weekend for the MAC Championships. Huskies have had a very successful fall season so far, placing in the top 10 3 times, including a home win to start the season. Sophomore distance runner Ashley Tutt has once again led the way this season with a 2nd and 15th place finish as an individual. The event is set to start tomorrow at 11 in the morning.
We now take a look at a coach who is making a running impact in the NIU community.
Our reporter Bea Garcia got the chance to learn more about cross-country head coach Adrian Myers.
NIU's Adrian Myers is in his 4th season as head coach of cross country and assistant coach of track and field. Before he found success at NIU, Myers had already established himself as a coach at IUPUI, Marian University, and Purdue University. Through these previous experiences, Myers learned how to make a lasting impression on his athletes.
My time at Marian probably set me up more than anything because came into a program that really hadn't had any success before. I was able to be a part of the first 2 All-Americans in the school's history and 11 national qualifying marks and all those sort of things. And what it did was help me understand the value of motivation and inspiration on a one-on-one level.
Adrian Myers is a true player's coach. With dedication and compassion, he ensures that his athletes know just how much they mean to him.
I have a coach who wants the best interest for me and he wants this program to succeed just as much as I do.
Coach Myers goes above and beyond in his dedication to NIU athletics, as he was this year's DeKalb Corn Classic 10K's athletic liaison. Although Myers is a busy man, he always finds time to support his fellow Huskies.
I think it's great because I think if you support one sport, they'll support you back. And so Coach Myers being there for other athletes and other sports, really helps other people to help us too and be supportive of us and our accomplishments as well.
With MAC championships just around the corner, Myers has his eyes on first place, but he has an even bigger objective in mind.
I hope I'm a success both in the numbers, the wins and the losses column, so to speak, but I also hope that I'm a success in setting up these athletes for life.
Myers' coaching style goes far beyond typical coaching expectations, and his passion for NIU athletics is unmatched. For Top Shelf Sports, I'm Bea Garcia.
Myers promises that he will never miss a home football game and can be seen at a majority of the upcoming athletic events.
The NIU Convocation Center recently had a mini makeover with the new addition of some LED boards. NIU Athletics debuted their new scoreboard with an open movie night last weekend. Husky athletes from men's and women's basketball, wrestlers, and gymnasts helped with the unveiling as they look forward to utilizing the board with some of their key highlights.
Now joining us at the desk to discuss the latest upgrade is Northern Star sports editor Michael Urbanik. Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So, Mike, we were wondering, will the new video board benefit athletics?
It'll be a bit large benefit just because NIU already has a larger stadium than many of the other schools in the MAC. It adds some more prestige compared to the schools that are at the same level as we are.
So where did the funding for this board come from, Mike?
Funding comes from the reserves the Convocation Center already had in place, and the operation funding will come from NIU Athletics for at least the next couple of years.
So how is this video board different from our previous one?
So the previous one was smaller and was prone to pixelation. The new one, it provides an HD experience, and they have issues with attendance sometimes, and they've talked about that openly. A video board that can provide the same experience you're going to get at home will get people in the door, along with provide them with a live experience.
So keeping that in mind, how does it directly affect the fan?
It directly affects the fan because you can go to the game, get the same experience you would get at home, see the same shots you would see at home, but you're also at the game. You're also allowed to have your voice heard. You're allowed to be, get the house moving.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So we heard from the expert. Now let's hear from the students.
Top Shelf sports reporter Alyssa Galan took it to the streets to find out what these Huskies know when it comes to the Convocation Center.
What's up, Husky Nation? I'm Alyssa Galan, and I'm here on campus to test these Huskies' knowledge about what's been going on with the Convocation Center. For every question they get right, they get a free Jimmy John sample. Let's see how they do. Okay, can you name any of the changes that's going on in the Convocation Center?
I think there's a pretty big video board now.
Yes.
And it's getting renamed, I think, yeah?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That was good.
Really not sure, actually.
The biggest change is the scoreboard.
They put with the basketball team, they've changed the little monitor thing in it on above.
Can you name any of the NIU sports teams that play at the Convocation Center?
The volleyball team.
Yes.
And basketball.
Good.
Lakers. Well, the basketball team, the volleyball team. I don't know about the other one.
Wrestling.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yes.
Volleyball, basketball, and wrestling.
Yeah, So you got this right, so I'm going to give you a sample.
Basketball, volleyball, that's it.
Yeah, those are 2 of them. Good job.
Basketball and volleyball.
Okay, good. And wrestling, that was good.
And wrestling.
Can you name the sports team that's playing next in the Convocation Center?
It's basketball team. Yeah.
Basketball?
Yes, I'm going to give you this because you got it right.
Okay.
Men's basketball.
Yes, you got that right.
I think basketball starts pretty soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
And then, you want to answer a question? Can you tell me who the comedian is? No?
I don't think he knows.
Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, it's
It's Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah,
Yeah.
yes.
I haven't heard.
Trevor Noah.
Me.
Oh, I see it on the poster. Trevor Noah?
Yes,
Trevor
you
Noah.
got it.
Yeah.
Well, those are some interesting answers. It looks like some of these Huskies actually know what's going on at the Convocation Center and get to enjoy some free Jimmy John samples. I hope to see you guys at the next basketball game. Let's send it back to the studio.
The men's soccer team is off to their best start since 2012.
A main reason for their success is because of second-year head coach Ryan Swan, who is leading a confident young group.
Our reporter Scott Nickel has more on his early success.
The men's soccer team surpassed their win total from the past 2 seasons combined when defeating UIC September 18th. A major reason for this turnaround has been head coach Ryan Swan's approach to the game. Senior forward Noah Brody, who was around for the coaching change after the 2016 season that brought Swan to NIU, says Swan has made the transition easy with his inclusive style.
See, with Swan, everyone feels a part of the team. And before seasons, kind of players, I guess, who haven't been playing as much have kind of felt left out. But this season, there really seems to be a lot of camaraderie, we are all on this team, so that's been a big plus.
Brody says the entire team has bought into Swan's game plan, which Swan says is a possessive style of soccer in a 4-3-3 formation.
We like to keep it somewhat fluid. I guess you would probably say 4-3-3 is the most consistent, but the bigger thing for us is having guys that are comfortable on the ball, that can move into the right spaces to receive it and play it. So hopefully if we're coaching them correctly, any formation should work for them.
Swan says sticking with the process will be key for the Huskies while challenging for a MAC championship, even with around half the team being new this season.
It's a very tough conference. There's a lot of very good teams, so it is being able to implement our style and then just staying consistent and staying disciplined in the way we play. If we can do that, then yeah, I fancy us against anyone.
Swan says that the younger guys keep improving, the sky's the limit for the team.
You know, Emily, the women's soccer team had a less than stellar 2018 season.
You know, you're right, but that didn't prevent one of its leading scorers, Abby Gregg, from adding offensive versatility and integrity to the Huskies. Top Shelf sports reporter Kobe Price caught up with the forward.
Husky goal, her second of the season, scored by number 24, Abby Gregg.
Junior forward Abby Gregg has made a name for herself with the women's soccer team through her aggressive style of play. The 2017 Mid-American Conference All-Academic honoree leads the Huskies in goals for the season and is a tight-lipped disruptor among NIU's point of attack. The soccer team has 6 culture clusters it holds itself accountable to for success. As a part of the integrity cluster, Gregg has taken it upon herself as a veteran leader to display sincerity and truthfulness with her team.
We talk a lot about what it means to have integrity on the team, and I think how I can contribute that is just by being honest about how I'm feeling. So if I can be completely honest about the way that I felt, I think I can contribute integrity to the team.
Head coach Julie Kohlhoff has players express how they feel to one another after games and practices. Gregg takes this opportunity to create a safe space for her team and instill unity by being genuine with her fellow Huskies.
It would be easy sometimes to check out, and instead she's choosing to, check in, turn towards her teammates, and really endure certain parts of the adversity. And to me, I look at that as a piece of integrity as well.
Gregg says she wants to be an example for her teammates. She wants her work ethic and authenticity to motivate the Huskies to do their best and be as honest with one another at all times.
When you have integrity and you're honest about how you're feeling, and also honest about if something is going on with another teammate, and just being open and talking, I think that's really important.
Greg's noble influence on the women's soccer team leaves her as this week's leader of the pack. For Top Shelf Sports, I'm Kobe Price.
When we come back, the injury bug has already bit the Bulls. We'll tell you who won't be on the court for a while.
And we have a jam-packed top 5 plays of the week that you won't want to miss. Stay with us. So Brandon, is there anything new in the Chicago sports world?
You know, Emily, one of my favorite power forwards went down with an injury last night.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I know that our Sports Hub reporter, Kobe Price, is here to tell you how long he is on the shelf, and he's also going to update us on everything else Chicago sports.
Thanks, Emily and Brandon. Unfortunately, Bulls forward Bobby Portis will be sidelined 4 to 6 weeks after suffering an MCL sprain. That's going to be a huge loss, not only for the Bulls, but Brandon's fantasy basketball team. But with all of major 4 sports leagues happening right now, I have a lot to catch you guys up on. We're going to stick with the Bulls. It took them 4 games, but they finally got their first victory of the young season against the Charlotte Hornets at the UC. After losses to the Philadelphia 76ers, Detroit Pistons, and Dallas Mavericks to open the season, Chicago finally came away with the W, taking it 112 to 110. The story of the season so far for the Bulls has been Zach LaVine. The man is a scoring machine. If this was NBA Jam, he'd be on fire. He joins Michael Jordan as the only Bull to score 30 points in each of the first 4 games of the season. Bulls vs. Hornets Part 2 will begin tonight in Charlotte. Tip-off is set for a 6 p.m. start. We're going to leave the Chicagoland area and take a quick trip to Beantown, where the Boston Red Sox currently have a 2-0 lead over the LA Dodgers in the World Series thanks to some timely hits. The Sox took Game 1 after Eduardo Nunez smacked a clutch 3-run homer to left field. This put Boston up 8-4 in the bottom of the 7th for the eventual victory. And in Game 2, J.D. Martinez had a line drive to right field to bring in 2 runners to give the Sox a 4-2 lead in the bottom of the 5th before winning the contest. The Dodgers will look to avoid a 3-0 deficit tonight when the team travels to LA for Game 3. First pitch is at 7:09 p.m. The Chicago Blackhawks were at home last night taking on the New York Rangers. The Blackhawks jumped out in front early on a Jonathan Taves 298th career goal, matching Dennis Hall for the 6th on the franchise's all-time goal list. The Blackhawks put this game away with an off-the-post goal from Patrick Kane in the 3rd. Kane's score is a team's best 9th goal of the season. The Blackhawks defeated the Rangers in this one by a final score of 4-1. And after falling just a little bit short against the New England Patriots 38-31 last Sunday, the Chicago Bears will take on the New York Jets at home in their Week 8 matchup. Mitchell Trubisky will look to continue his recent success as of late against a struggling Jets defense. The Bears will look to snap their 2-game losing streak after starting the season 3-1. Kickoff is set for noon on Sunday. That's all I have from the Sports Hub. Emily LaRusso has you covered on fantasy football advice. Emily?
Thanks, Kobe. With the football season halfway through, it's time for a playoff push. Here are some players that can help your fantasy team get there. At quarterback, I have Andy Dalton from the Cincinnati Bengals. Dalton is currently the 14th ranked quarterback in PPR leagues and has a favorable matchup this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look for him to air it out Sunday with receivers like A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd at his disposal. At running back, I have Oakland Raider Doug Martin. After Marshawn Lynch's injury, Martin is now in the spotlight and expected to carry the load for his team. Expect him to get plenty of touches against Indianapolis this week and games afterwards. Another running back you can use to your advantage this week is Seattle Seahawks' Chris Carson. Carson is off to a great start and has a good matchup against the Lions defense, who has been allowing a lot of rushing success to running backs this season. Carson has 14 carries in 3 quarters against Oakland and remains Seattle's main rusher. Look for him to give you those extra points you need. I have Los Angeles Chargers Tyrell Williams at wideout this week. Although he is on a bye, Williams can help your team in the long run. He's averaged just under 25 points in his last 2 games and seems to have caught fire. With Phillip Rivers as his quarterback, look for Williams to keep things going in Week 9. For your second pass catcher, I have Jacksonville Jaguars' Dante Moncrief. Although the Jags are not living up to expectations this season, Moncrief has been a bright spot for their offense. He currently leads the team in receiving yards and has a favorable matchup this week against the Colts defense. He's owned in under 20% of fantasy leagues and should be the spark your team needs going forward. Well, that's all I have today for your fantasy football. Hopefully you can use some of these players to help your team reach the playoffs. Back to you guys at the desk.
You know, Emily, I wonder if David Craighead has any new updates for us in the fighting world.
You know, actually, he gave me a little sneak peek earlier this week, and I think he's got some new material for us.
Thanks, Brandon and Emily. I'm David, the rated R superstar Craighead. First, we'll get into Vulcan No Time Ozdemir versus Anthony Lionheart Smith. Then we'll talk about the happenings within the WWE. Let's get into it. It's Volkov No Time Ozdemir versus Anthony Lionheart Smith on Saturday night. No Time Ozdemir is known for his power and versatility, but he has a terrible opponent in Anthony Lionheart Smith. Lionheart Smith has made a career of knocking out legends in the cage, such as Mauricio Rua and Rashad Evans, and those are just his last 2 fights. The Vegas odds for the fight are -203 for Ozdemir and +167 for Anthony Smith. Smith has 17 first-round finishes and has 31 more fights under his belt than Volkov, and is my pick to win. There's a fight game in town that not too many people know about. It's called PFL, and it stands for Professional Fighters League. Jake Shields fought last Friday night for PFL. He used to be a UFC fighter, known for his wrestling ability. He is an old man in the sport at 39 years old. The fight against Ray Cooper III, whose father also fought Jake Shields. A long time back, losing 1 and winning 1, while his son performed better last Friday night, knocking out Jake Shields for a ground and pound win. Moving from the cage to the squared circle, WWE had a massive change to the face of the wrestling show. In a short 5-minute speech, Roman Reigns let the people know that he has cancer. Top shelf sports producer Eddie Garcia has always seen Roman Reigns as a personal hero. From everyone at Top Shelf Sports, we wish him a fast recovery. As always, I'm David, the rated R superstar Craighead, and that's all I got for you folks back home or not at home, wherever you may be. Back to my favorites at the desk, Brandon and Emily.
Well, it's good to know that we are the Rated R Superstars favorites, Brandon.
You know, Emily, I have another favorite, and it's the top 5 plays of the week.
Shocker there. Well, Brandon, since it's your fave, I'm going to let you go ahead and start.
Don't mind if I do. She's a beauty, that number 5. Jimmy G buckets with the shot, but Josh Okogie cleans up the mess. Throws it down all over Lorenzo Brown. This is number 5. We must be packed this week, folks. Raptors win 112-107.
At number 4, we have Kareem Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs with this dominating run against the Cincinnati Bengals. Take a look as he fails to be wrapped up, escapes, and hurdles a defender to get the Chiefs inside the 10. Take a look at those hops. The very next play results in a touchdown for the Chiefs by another amazing catch by Hunt.
At number 3, we're back on the court. Wesley Matthews is going to drop this off to DJ, and he's going to destroy Alex Len. Let's take another look at that one. DJ's hyped up. I am too. He gets this ball in the post, and he just makes Alex Len look foolish. That is some really disrespectful stuff. Atlanta wins the game 111 to 104.
At play number 2, we have the Houston Texans QB Deshaun Watson launching a ball down the sideline to receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Take a look at this amazing one-handed snag. Just an incredible display of athleticism. Let's take another look at that. Incredible.
And the number 1 play of the week, it comes from Chicago. That's BP, and he puts MKG on the poster. Look at that replay we got in the highlight. This highlight is probably the best play of the Bulls' young season. Bobby with a power dribble, and he puts Kid Gilchrist in a place that not many people want to be. Bulls win 112 to 110.
Wasn't that a really great week for top plays, Brandon?
Yeah, you know, it was really tough for us to limit it just to 5.
Yeah, you're right about that. Top Shelf Sports is written and produced by students here at Northern Illinois University.
To keep up with everything Husky Athletics, make sure to check out our social media. I'm Brandon Giese.
And I'm Emily Becerra. Until next time.
See you later, Husky Nation.